Hello, just wanted to share our third grade curriculum from Heart of Dakota. We used Preparing Hearts for His Glory. So this is the teacher's guide, and it's in the same format as the other guides. Each subject has its own box, and this is the first guide that students actually start doing independent work in. So each box has a letter, and if it has a T, that means it's teacher directed. If there's an S, that means semi-independent, so you do it together with your child. And the boxes that have an I, that means the child does it independently. And in this guide, independent history study and science are the two things that are done independently. Then the math, geography, history projects, those are semi-independent, and the rest are teacher-directed. In the back of the guide, you have the appendix, and here you have like a schedule for your reading and also for math. You also have this page that you can photocopy, and this you will be using about once a week for the science, and the kids fill this out. There's also narration tips and dictation passages. So in Heart of Dakota, the way they do spelling is by dictation passages, and they are listed here. And in the front of the guide where you have the plans is it will tell you the instructions of how to do the dictation passages. And in the very back is the poetry. This guide focuses, the whole year is on poetry by Robert Louis Stevenson. So every single poem is by him. And here are all the poems you will be needing for the whole year. This book is not a part of the Heart of Dakota curriculum. I bought it separately, but since we knew we were going to be studying Robert Louis Stevenson, I purchased this book, and it's all about his poetry. I just thought the pictures were really beautiful, and I thought my son would really enjoy it. And he did. So whichever poem the guide told us to read for the week, we would just look it up here in this book. And there were a few that were not in here, so when that happened, we just used the poem from the back of the guide. This book also has a short biography of Robert Louis Stevenson's life. So we did read that first in the beginning of the year to introduce the poet, and we really liked this book. They also have different poets and other authors in this series of books as well. Preparing Hearts for His Glory has 4 history books to use throughout the whole year, and they're already scheduled for you in the guide, how many pages and from which book to read which day. And the books are these right here. This was my favorite. Really loved this book, and so did my son. They were actually all great books. We enjoyed every single one of them. For science, you will be using 9 books. And those 9 books will last you through the whole school year, which are these right here. We love the One Small Square books. Each one is really great. All of these books were really fun. This one, Find the Constellations, was one of my son's favorite books, and it's by the author of Curious George, and it was a favorite in our home. After science, you have reading. And Heart of Dakota has their own reading program, which is drawn into the heart of reading. This is the teacher's guide, and it's the only guide you will need starting at level 2 all the way through level 8. So you just check, it says all levels together, so everyone could do these together as a family. And then it tells you depending what level your child is doing, level 2 or 3, and you follow these instructions. Level 4 or 5, you follow these instructions. Level 6, 7, or 8. And it tells you for what day and what type of book that you're reading. Then you have the student book, and each level has a different workbook for the child to do. And then you can also buy book projects to send home, and there's also different grade levels for these. And so when a child finishes his book, then there's a project they could do if you wish. That it's optional, you don't have to purchase it if you're not interested. Heart of Dakota has already pre-made book packages that you can buy and use with Drawn into the Heart of Reading. The good thing is that you don't have to buy their packages if you don't want to. You're able to use your own books that you select with Drawn into the Heart of Reading. We went ahead and purchased one of their packs. It was just easier for us, and looking at all the books, we thought they all looked like good books, so we just went ahead and purchased. I believe we did the level 2 pack, and these are the books that came. This is the level 2, but they send you a list. You have options. There's you could do a higher level if you wish, depending on your child's reading skills. But my son enjoyed all of these books. He has new favorites like the Littles. Now every time we go to a bookstore, he looks for more books on the Littles. The Storm was also one of his favorites. All of these books were really good, so we'll just continue buying their book packs. After reading, then you have math, and Heart of Dakota uses Singapore Math, which I've heard is a great math program. Unfortunately, we didn't start homeschooling with Singapore Math, and I feel like at this point it might be harder for him to learn how to do math in this way, so we just continue to use a different math program. And then you have English, and here they recommend Rod and Staff, but just like math, if you want to use a different English book or curriculum, you are able to do that. So we did purchase the Rod and Staff, and this is the student book and the teacher book. You need a separate notebook so you don't write in the student book. So you need a notebook to write down all your answers. Rod and Staff English, I think, is advanced. It's really advanced, and there is a lot of writing, but Heart of Dakota recommends that if your child doesn't like to write that much, you can divide it and do lessons on the board, and then just have them write half of it in their notebook, or maybe some parts you can do orally, and that seemed to help in our home. So this is the teacher book. The pages, it has the same page that's in the student book, But also it gives you like extra activities or teaching tips. It just has little extras on the sides, and also it has the answers. So I find the teacher books really helpful, but you don't have to purchase it if you don't want to. You can just get the student book and that would be fine too. Then you have music, and this is the CD that was used for this year, Lead Me to the Rock, and it was mainly, they're all scripture songs, so it's tied into the memory verse that you're learning throughout the week, and then you have the song that goes with it, so that was really nice, and it just helps the kids memorize scripture. After that, you have the Storytime books. These are your read aloud books, and they just go with the whole history theme that you're learning. So that was really nice too. So it's pretty much like a unit study, and we really like that about Heart of Dakota. So these are the books that came for Storytime. This book was really beautiful. We really enjoyed all the pictures. And the story is great. Beautiful pictures. It also has a CD in the back, the audiobook. So this was a favorite. This one also had really beautiful pictures. And great stories. My son really liked this one about Vikings. This one was a great book. We both enjoyed it too. The Wonderful Winter is a great story. They all are. That is one of the reasons why we love Heart of Dakota, is because of the great selection of books that they have for every subject. And then after that comes, these are their independent reading books. And those books are these right here. This one was fun to do as they're learning their history lesson. It just ties in really nice with something in this book. So then after, they draw a picture, and so there's drawing, but there's also copywork. So in a separate notebook, this is a way for them to practice their cursive. They copy down some of the paragraphs in the book, and it breaks it down so they don't have to do a whole page in one day. This one was a good book also about Egypt. This little book here introduces the Bible to your children, and it breaks it down. It tells you what every book is about, where to find it. It was a really good introduction to the Bible. This was one of my son's favorite when we were learning about Vikings. All of these books are really good. William Shakespeare and Peter the Great. If you have older children and you want to use the same guide to teach them all together from one guide, Heart of Dakota has extension packages to use with older children. And so you're able to use the same guide, and then it has separate books to use with your older child. And here are some of them, but it gives you the list here. And that is it for Preparing Hearts for His Glory. We had a great year homeschooling with Heart of Dakota and Preparing Hearts for His Glory. And we are looking forward to next year's because all the books in that grade level look awesome too.